Hey everyone, this is Daniel from PhoneArena with a video comparison of the Samsung Galaxy S2 and the new HTC One S. On first read, the Galaxy S2 is quite similar to the One S. Both have 4.3-inch AMOLED displays, dual-core processors, 8-megapixel cameras and the same battery capacity. When you dig deeper though, the choice is not hard to make, as there are key differences in the software and hardware as well as design. HTC has nailed the design of the One S with a very thin and compact yet rigid frame, which is made of oxidized or anodized aluminum depending on the color. The simple plastic construction of the Samsung Galaxy S2 pales in comparison, more so since it weighs almost as much as the metal HTC One S. Not only does HTC's phone feel more sophisticated in the hand, but it is also more ergonomic with its slightly curved chassis and the rounded corners compared to the black rectangular slab that is the Galaxy S2. The price for one-handed operation goes to the HTC One S as well, since it is slightly narrower and taller than the SGS2, so your thumb can reach almost everywhere on the screen. We would have given the design round to the HTC One S completely if it wasn't for one very key difference. The thinnest HTC smartphone to date lacks usage flexibility somewhat compared to Samsung's finest. The HTC One S doesn't allow it to add more storage than the 16 gigabytes that the manufacturer has put into it. Also, it has a sealed battery compartment and only takes micro SIM cards. The Samsung Galaxy S2, on the other hand, you can pop in a 32 gigabytes micro SD card for a total of 48 gigabytes local storage that is not dependent on the cloud servers and won't cost you a dime in data charges. You can also carry a spare battery with you and put your good old regular SIM card in without resorting to the scissors, and that freedom of usage will tip the scales for many people in its favor, despite the more premium design on the HTC One S. The HTC One S has a 4.3-inch AMOLED display, just like on the Galaxy S2 of Samsung make as well. But there's a difference in pixel structure. It is done with the pentile matrix arrangement, whereas Samsung's phone offers a regular RGB matrix. And this alternative sub-pixel arrangement might make the screen appear pixelated at times, which could very well eliminate the resolution advantage of the 540 by 960 pixels that the HTC One S has versus the 480 by 800 pixels on the Samsung Galaxy S2. Still, the pentile AMOLED on the HTC One S is way brighter than the screen on the Galaxy S2, thus better for outdoor usage. And the cold colors that are typical for Samsung's AMOLED screens are more evident on the HTC One S at an angle, as you can see. Whereas on the Galaxy S2, white appears bluish head-on compared to a good LCD display, which is very evident here, even compared to the HTC One S. Both handsets exhibit these joyful oversaturated colors that are typical for Super AMOLEDs, which might look a bit tacky in the interface, but come in very well when watching movies, along with the practically unlimited contrast ratio and very wide viewing angles on Super AMOLED displays. Now let's have a look at the interface on both phones. Unlike HTC Sense 4.0, which is made from the onset with Android ice cream sandwich in mind, Samsung's TouchWiz looks slapped over ICS almost unchanged, and as if in a hurry, not taking enough advantage of the Google's newest mobile OS interface design changes. Case in point, HTC has left this stock ICS context menu button upright, only a thumb move away for all the default apps in HTC Sense, whereas in TouchWiz you still have to stretch your thumb way down beneath the display to press the capacitive context menu key. HTC Sense is also much more polished and uniform than the RagTag TouchWiz that looks and feels like Samsung pieced together different functionalities with their own color schemes and call it a day, which is typical for most Android overlays though. Moreover, despite the more complex and integrated nature of HTC Sense, it moves very smoothly, powered by the latest 1.5 GHz dual-core Snapdragon S4. In terms of processing power, let's run a little bit of Quadrant on both handsets to see if there's any difference in performance between the last year dual-core Samsung Exynos clocked at 1.2 GHz and the 1.5 GHz 4th generation Qualcomm Snapdragon on the HTC One S. Okay, we got 5073 on first run on the HTC One S. And we're waiting for the Samsung Galaxy S2 results. 4160. Now let's run Nanomark for the graphics performance and see if we will receive the same, about 20% better result on the HTC One S compared to the Samsung Galaxy S2. As you can see, we get 52 frames per second and 60 frames per second on the HTC One S. Overall, about 20% better results from HTC's handsets, which however can be attributed to the higher processor clock, 1.5 GHz versus the 1.2 GHz. And thus both handsets will be running anything that Android can throw at them. Both Samsung and HTC have dolled up the Android 4.0 on-screen keyboard in the style of their respective UI overlays. The virtual keyboard on the Samsung Galaxy S2 is more ergonomic though, thanks to the larger space between keys than the more cramped version on the HTC One S. However, the keyboard on the One S is a bit more functional with an arrow keys row on by default, which comes in very handy at times, and it also has a one-touch access to changing the input language quickly to anything of your liking. The browser on the HTC One S is a bit more functional than the one on the Samsung Galaxy S2, thanks to some interface touches in Sense 4.0. HTC has added a bottom navigational strip, which appears when you try to scroll up here. It allows you to quickly save the page for reviewing later or access bookmarks and browser tabs. You can also turn Adobe Flash on or off directly from the context menu button in the HTC One S when you scroll down. Both handsets behave the ICS way and hide any of their UI elements, leaving you with the full screen view, except for the notification bar here on the Samsung Galaxy S2, whereas on the HTC One S we don't even have the notification bar. A complete full screen view is available. The HTC One S has a superior text reflow that kicks in automatically at every zoom level, but it slows down a rendering significantly compared to the smooth experience on the Samsung Galaxy S2, as you can see. The music player on the Galaxy S2 is a bit more functional than the one on the HTC One S, due to the number of equalizer presets, for example, that it offers. You can even set a custom equalizer mode to your own liking. There are a bunch of sound effects as well, some of which work in loudspeaker mode, lyrics visualizations, and so on. The HTC One S has Beats Audio, which improves the sound with the suitable high-quality pair of headphones, but you could likely achieve a similar result just playing around with the sound effects on the Samsung Galaxy S2 and custom equalizer set. Since HTC doesn't package Beats audio in-ear headphones in the box with the One S, the loudspeaker on the Galaxy S2 is on par with the One S unit. Both are nothing really spectacular, but do the job in terms of strength and sound clarity for the phone, and the occasional call-on speaker. Both handsets have pretty useful video players that won't make you resort to the application store, for example, since they support DivX XVD files up to 1080p definition right out of the box. As you can see, this is a DivX 1920 by 1080 file, which both handsets play very well, and they both allow for brightness adjustments, for example, as well as subtitle support and basic video trimming directly from the video player interface, which only works with MPEG-4 files on the One S though. With Galaxy S2 you can also set the color tone, which can be useful while watching movies, and this is a function that Samsung keeps for itself, for its own handsets with AMOLED displays. The HTC One S sports a very rich camera interface with plenty of shooting modes, tweaks and effects you can apply over to your photos and videos. The Galaxy S2 is no slouch in that respect too, offering panorama and macro modes as well, different scene modes, as well as some effects, but not nearly as rich as we have on the HTC One S, which is the choice coming with the proprietary image chip technology of HTC. Also, the interface is more ergonomic to use here on the HTC One S. You can start filming directly from the same screen where you take shots, since the buttons are on one and the same home screen, and of course you can capture photos while filming, and there's a very quick burst mode. The pics from the 8 megapixel cameras on both turned out very good, with the One S oversaturating the colors a bit, whereas the ones from the Galaxy S2 were slightly colder than reality, with the truth lying somewhere in the middle. The handsets made sharp-looking photos with good white balance and plenty of detail. They managed fine even in tricky lighting situations, when the sun, for example, was shining directly into the lens, with the HTC One S having a slight edge in these circumstances. Where the Samsung Galaxy S2 did better were artificial and low light shots, like here, with its pics turning slightly sharper. You can read the stop sign, for example, here very well. Unlike here on the One S, you have to pick the low light mode from the menu here on the One S to achieve the same result. Right here, low light. Overall, the pictures from the HTC One S are more pleasant to look at, with their vivid, oversaturated colors, than the more accurate but colder images from the Samsung Galaxy S2. HTC's handsets also have one big advantage when it comes to camera. It takes less than a second to focus and take a shot, and its burst mode is really a sight to behold, up to 99 pictures, 4 pictures per second, whereas the Galaxy S2 camera feels like a last-year endeavor compared to the new sub-second cameras on the HTC One S, on the iPhone 4S, and on the Xperia S, for example. You can see how much quicker the HTC One S takes pictures compared to the Galaxy S2. Both handsets shoot 1080p video with 30 frames per second, which runs fluid and without frame skippings or unpleasant artifacts, and with a good level of detail. The video from the One S exhibits the same high contrast and saturated colors as the stills, while the one made with the Galaxy S2 is more plain looking in comparison, but overall you can't complain from the footage created by both phones. Overall, the HTC One S is the more sophisticated handset out of the comparison with the Galaxy S2. It has the better design, faster camera and processor, and Sense 4.0 is much better woven into Android ICS than TouchWiz. The Samsung Galaxy S2 compensates very well though with its removable battery and regular SIM card slot, as well as the expandable storage it offers. For a lot of people, this added flexibility along with a slight edge in battery life will make it the better handset, despite that the HTC One S excelling in almost every other department. As far as pricing goes, both handsets cost roughly the same now. Granted, we're on the verge of the next Samsung Galaxy S version launch, which might see discounts in the Galaxy S2 price, but the HTC One S price tag will only be heading downwards from here as well. This was a video comparison between the new HTC One S and the Samsung Galaxy S2 from PhoneArena. For more information about these and other handsets, you can visit us at phonearena.com. Thanks for watching.